Next up, we've got a friend of mine. She's an absolute powerhouse, and she's going to tell you exactly why this New South Wales Equality Bill needs to be just absolutely dismantled. So please welcome Kat Carina.
Yep. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Catherine Anderson Curriner, and I stand here to advocate for equality for all. That's why I oppose the misleadingly named Equality Bill. While this bill claims to promote equality, in reality it creates a system where some people are more equal than others. This proposed Equality Bill fails to protect or enhance the rights of citizens of New South Wales, particularly children. It privileges a select few at the expense of the many. Instead of upholding our basic human rights, it undermines them. Far from reducing discrimination, this bill systematically increases the vulnerability of women and children to malviolence and exploitation for commercial gain. Firstly, this bill proposes to shift our legal norms away from recognising biological sex, fundamental for ensuring fairness and safety, towards embracing subjective, unproven concepts of gender identity. There's a lot to say about that, but let me explain in straightforward terms what this bill introduces and its consequences in 10 simple points. 1. Self-identification and access to women's spaces. Any man can pay a fee, likely around $125 based on other states, and by selecting female on a change of birth certificate form, gain access to female-only spaces like girls' changing rooms, toilets, sports teams and hospital wards, etc. This opens the door to exploitation as sexual predators or opportunists can take advantage of male privileges to oppress, abuse and exploit women and children. If anyone challenges this, they risk being sued for significant damages. 2. Falsification of statistical data. By removing original sex markers, male and female, from birth certificates, we lose the integrity of vital statistical data that informs public policy and research. 3. Undermining parental oversight. This bill removes parental oversight concerning the mental and physical care of their child. Ideologically captured, government-controlled organisations such as schools, mainstream media, and it's also reflected in social media, will be able to encourage vulnerable children to legalise an opposite sex identity, further pushing them down the harmful path of social and medical transitioning. This is state harm to children. This is state overreach. 4. Impact on faith-based schools. This bill removes exemption provisions for faith-based schools, preventing them from upholding and teaching their beliefs. This aligns with organisations like the Australian Human Rights Commission, Equality Australia and ACON to impose the Yogyakarta Principles Plus 10, which they had part in writing by the way, into all aspects of our society. These principles were rejected by the Federal Senate and UN member states, but are being pushed through by bureaucratic means, bypassing democracy and through law. Our society is poorer for homogenisation of our culture. 5. Prostitution and increased violence. Full deregulation of prostitute has seen in countries just across the ditch, like New Zealand, has always led to higher homicide rates among prostitutes. Removing protections enables pimps to exert more control over prostituted persons, increasing their exploitation. 6. Pay attention to this. Sex work as a protected attribute. By protecting sex work as a special category, the bill prioritises the interests of the sex industry over the safety and dignity of trafficked and exploited women. Is Greenwich protecting people or profits? This also allows sexual solicitation to occur outside of schools, churches, mosques, and other religious organisations. Now really listen closely to this. It also allows any to engage in public sex acts inside and outside schools, churches, hospitals, parks, and all public places, inside and out. Pause on that and consider that carefully, because most people are missing it because they just got buried amongst crap. 7. Sorry. I can't hear you. Okay. 7. Silencing survivors of domestic abuse. This bill makes it illegal to out someone as a domestic abuser if they identify with any of the 85 plus different gender identities, silencing women who have legitimate safety concerns for themselves and their children. 8. Compromising privacy in intimate searches. It would allow males who identify as women to search or be searched by women in intimate situations, including disabled, elderly, or hospitalised people, male and female. Female police officers would also be required to conduct intimate searches on males as suspects or prisoners who identify as women. 9. Reverse discrimination in employment. This bill creates special categories, special classes, based on gender identity in employment, promoting reverse discrimination and undermining merit-based hiring practices. 10. Surrogacy and human trafficking. The bill removes current bans on overseas commercial surrogacy, encouraging the commodification of vulnerable women as wombs for rent and children as commodities. It's actually illegal in Australian Commonwealth law, but this bill seeks to introduce it into state law, bypassing federal law. Commercial surrogacy is considered human trafficking by the European Union, yet this bill promotes it. Surrogacy has dangerous consequences such as permanent injuries or deaths of surrogate mothers, often poor women in countries like Georgia, Thailand, and India. It commodifies babies. And when unwanted children, such as girls, when boys are preferred, are identified in the womb, they are often aborted, regardless of the woman's feelings about that. Or if born with a defect, abandoned, like with the case of baby Gammy in Thailand, abandoned by an Australian couple. Multiple embryo implants, which is a typical process of the IVF process, often result in spare babies, who can then be trafficked, sold to wealthy parents, best case scenario, or worse, fall into the hands of pedophile rings, slavery, or organ removal industry. This gives you a broad picture of the bill. Please visit www.bill-breakdown.com to better understand it. I wrote it for MPs, but I've also tried to make it simple for general public. And see the rebuttals to Greenwich, Equality Australia, and Gender Centre and ACON. Understand this. By prioritising self-identification and subjective concepts of gender, this bill fails to consider the medical, societal, ethical, and practical implications. And though I've focused on the impact on women and children, this bill affects us all. Our human rights under international conventions include freedom of association, the right to associate with whom we please and not associate with others if we choose. This bill removes that. Freedom of speech. This bill constrains it. The right to safety, privacy, and dignity. This bill strips these rights from women, the elderly, the disabled, law enforcement officers, children, and same-sex attracted people. The right to fairness and safety in sports. This bill eradicates that. We have the right to equality for all, not privilege for a few at the expense of everyone else, especially women, children, and the LGBT community. Any legislative changes must preserve protections based on biological realities, uphold privacy and safety rights, and ensure that all citizens of New South Wales are represented and protected equally. We must stand for fairness and equality and push back against Greenwich and the gender lobby's efforts to reverse decades of progress in sex equality and sexual orientation. Push back against the erosion of our basic freedoms, fairness, dignity, privacy and safety. Yes! We must defy the lie of calling privilege exploitation and harm. Equality, no. At Active Watch and Waiting, that's our group, our research shows that this bill reflects international financial and political interests rather than the needs and desires of the Australian people. All our rights matter. Women's, men's, children's, parents, law enforcement officers, LGBT and trans rights, all are human rights. And none of these should be compromised, privileged, or diminished by this bill. I urge you to take action now. Go to our parliamentary petition at www.tinyurl.com/ban the bill. Got posters over there and here. And sign it. And if you've already signed it, you are awesome. Now go and get 3 more people to sign it. Once we reach 20,000 verified signatures, this bill must be debated on the floor. Okay? And again, to learn more about the bill, please visit www.bill-breakdown.com. Thank you all for listening.
Thank you very much, Kat.